Okay, so welcome to another straight talking property podcast. And myself, Ashley Banfield, with the regular Immanuel Ezekiel. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to see your face, although people can't see it. And as promised, we've got a special guest. He's been a sort of a mate of ours for a few years now, much closer to Immanuel than me, but we won't go there.
We won't go there.
And his name is, and he's an Aussie. Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oh, yeah. Brett Algre-Wood, welcome.
Welcome, boys. How are you?
Good, mate, good.
I'm feeling a bit ambushed today, you two Aussies.
Oh, good. So you should. We've got dinner tonight as well, so even better.
This
All
is
I can say, I'm glad it's not a video.
We'll school the young man today on property, yeah.
Yeah. In case you're wondering what a video would look like, Emmanuel's currently cowering in the corner with two 6'2" giant Aussies looking over him.
2 and 6'5", I think.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
good.
size is nothing, is it?
In your case.
We're all sitting down, so we're all equals.
All right, so today, as promised, we're going to talk about development, property development.
Cool.
Now, it's a very, very broad subject, so we're going to cover off a few points. And Brett, firstly, give us your credentials. Why should people listen to you about property in any shape or form?
So, look, I've been involved in property for over 25 years now. I started off in Australia. I started off as a real estate agent, moved into being a mortgage broker, had about 75 mortgage brokers working for me at one stage, helped set up a funder over there, which is now, I believe, the 5th largest non-bank lender. And then
my story.
So, it is very similar, isn't it? Yeah,
It is very similar.
And,
I was just starting to think you've nicked his.
yeah.
I'm older, remember that.
Well, yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that. Yeah, it's true.
But no, so then but at that stage I was about 29 and I realised that I hadn't travelled yet and hadn't backpacked. So I did the typical Aussie thing and donned on a backpack and went through Asia and India and then turned up here. And initially my qualifications as a mortgage broker didn't work. So then I went, well, actually, I know property. So I originally started doing property seminars, you know, the get rich quick type things. Very quickly grew bored with that because it was, you know, it didn't work. You know, it was taking people's money for nothing. So I moved out that and I actually started
you grew a
doing
conscience.
property. Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
I already had it, actually.
That's why you're sitting here today.
That's, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was back, I mean, that was way back 2004, you know, when I first, 2002 when I arrived, so 2003 actually it was. So a long time ago. And so I've actually seen the market over that whole period up to today. And so then that, I had a fair bit of experience with mortgages, new build mortgages and things like that. I moved into new build and off plan and selling that, and we've been doing that ever since. So
Okay.
I've got a company called Gladfish. We've done about 3,000. We've got about 3,000 clients over the years, and you know we're over £1 billion of property sales.
Wow.
That we've been responsible for. So it's pretty
Well
serious
done.
business. We do well, and
£1
been doing
billion
it for a long
in
time.
anything is big business.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And it's good. So I've got a lot of experience in the marketing and the side, not so much in the development side as much as actually taking these developments and taking them to market. But we've been involved with right from the start. So I have done a lot of development. I've done refurbs up to 20 unit development type things.
Yeah.
But my real market and my real thing is new build off plan. Building people's portfolios.
So just explain that. So somebody comes in, person A says, right, I've built 200 apartments, and I need to get rid of them.
Yep.
Is that where your model works? Explain your model, because there will be developers out there listening to this who obviously need this service.
It works broad spectrum. So it could be anything from, look, I've got 5 units and I didn't really put together a marketing plan. I just built them.
Yep.
And now what the hell do I do? Up to, we work with most of the major home builders where, we'll sell their stuff just the same as their on-site guys sell their stuff. But because we're selling to investors, we're not going after, we're not on Rightmove, we're not on those sort of places where you get your homeowners. We've got our own database, and we've got a lot of investors from all around the world.
Okay.
So probably 40% of our investors are international and 60% are local.
And just quickly, what do you offer an investor? Because I know there are people probably thinking, how does that work?
So, look, our unique selling proposition, our motto, if you like, is, property investment effortlessly done for you. Okay. And the whole idea behind that is we do a full service portfolio management from the, I've got one of my companies owns or manages over 1,300 properties.
What company is that?
For investors, Easy Track Property
Okay.
Management. And so we do that, but we also do the portfolio management. So we look at structure and strategy and I commentate on the market. If you go to my YouTube channel, Brett's Property Rants, you'll see, I'm pretty prolific and I'm pretty opinionated about
we've seen it.
how investors should do property and when they should be, watching out for things and all that sort of stuff.
And you've got a book as well, right?
Got a book.
What's
In
your
fact,
book?
I've written 25 books. So
Okay.
I've actually, the main one is the 3+1 plan, which was won the People's Book Prize back in 2008.
What was that called again?
The 3+1 plan.
3+1.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something
So-
you're offering at the moment on your site?
Yeah, if they go onto the site, if they go gladfish.com, they can download it for free.
Good.
So yeah.
All right.
Nice
So I
little plug
think
there, mate. Thanks.
I think the credentials are there, right?
I
They're
think
there.
so.
Yeah.
I think Brett's actually underplaying just how much knowledge and expertise he has in terms of understanding development and how it comes to market, and more importantly, marketing. And with any kind of development, it's all about sales at the end of it, and he helps developers realise their sales and also helps investors. So it's a really great, what I call partnership or marriage.
Good. Okay. So let's just roll it back a little bit then. So you're both fairly similar in that you've got 25 years experience. You've had mortgage companies. You've been doing developments ever since. I would say Brett probably on a much bigger scale than Immanuel. Would you say that?
I think it's different on the marketing side, maybe, but on the development side,
I'm just taking a mick out of him.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Listen, give credit where it's due. When you're selling that many properties, you have a huge amount of knowledge and data
Absolutely.
to go
Data's
back
the
on.
key, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not just data in one area, it's multiple areas. So in terms of knowledge and expertise, if you want to get information from somebody that understands the market in terms of sales and how the market's going to be, Brett's your man.
Good. Okay, so mindset. Let's imagine young Ash here. He's 24, 25 years old, if you can think back that far. And I've decided to myself, I've woken up one day and I've said, you know what? I want to be a property developer. I'm going to leave my job next week.
Well,
Where do I start?
Well, the first thing I would say, don't.
Yeah. 100%.
Don't what? Be a
Don't
property
give up-
developer or don't give up my job?
Don't give up your job. Definitely don't give up your job. You give up your job when your other business produces greater income than your current job.
Yeah.
You don't move from one to the other. That's a mistake that a lot of people make to this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and that rainbow could be 4 or 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you build up, and I like to build up, I've always talked about passive income first. Get income coming in. The big lump sums that come in every 6, 12, 18 months, you build up your pipeline, 2 or 3 projects. When you have enough money in the system, you make a choice out of comfort, not out of necessity. You actually make that choice because it's easy to make that step. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is that if you're going to get into, my greatest mentor is Tony Robbins. He was his 60th birthday last week.
Happy birthday, Tony.
Yeah, happy birthday, Tony. And I've followed his motto over and over again, and it's called modelling. If you want to be really, really good at something, find somebody that's already getting amazing, excellent results.
Agreed.
Follow what they do, copy what they do, and you will get similar results. It might not be the same because they've got the knowledge and experience, but if you just model them for a period of time, you'll understand what they do, how they do it, and the sequence they do it. It's all part of the ingredient. And he often gives this analogy about baking a cake. You could go to a baker and see this most amazing cake. It tastes amazing. The baker gives you all the ingredients, but if you use all those ingredients, are you going to get the same cake? Hell no. If you have all those ingredients and you put them in the same order, will you get the same cake? No. You've got to have the same ingredients in the same order, in the same quantity, and then you'll get something similar. And that's why it's so important to model somebody that's gone through all of those steps. And development is a lot of steps as part of that recipe to make an amazing development from the ground upwards.
Okay, so good point. Brett, you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say with that too, I think with the modelling is it's very easy for you to look at the person modelling or telling you something and then you step into your ego and think, well, I can shortcut that and I can do this better and I can, and all of a sudden, you know, those little distinctions you miss that person's made, and actually they are the things that make the cake taste good. So if you don't be careful, you can shortcut, you can miss bits, you can, and you end up with in a development perspective, an unprofitable development that potentially gets repossessed or whatever,
And let's face it, a lot of so-called, shall we say, inverted commas, whatever you want to say, don't make money on projects.
You're right. A lot of people don't make projects. And literally in the last week and a half, I've had 3 other developers knocking on my door asking for help because they didn't know their numbers. The banks that they went to weren't the right banks. And because they've gone over time and a little bit over budget, they're not supporting them. They haven't got the money to complete it. And now they're in a really bad position. Yeah. Now, if you're an experienced developer, you know how to overcome those situations. You know what you need to do in the first place. There are so many people all working off the back of a developer from the front end to the back end, from a broker arranging the finance or a broker arranging either the bridging loan or the development finance or the exit finance. But if they're not really experienced in understanding how the market evolves, I'm one of those developers that suffered in 2008 when the bank started to pull the rug from underneath you. So you need to be prepared that might happen. We are now talking about, at this moment in time, which might only be this week or next week or the week after, we are talking about coronavirus, and the world has gone nuts.
The coronavirus. Miley Cyrus, apparently, now they call it in the East End.
The stock market has just dropped, in the last few weeks, almost 20%. It's insane. The fundamentals are there. But, when things change, you have to be able to be adaptable. And as a developer, you need to understand how the market changes. It doesn't quite change that dramatically because you can't sell real estate as fast as you can sell stocks and shares. No. But you really need to understand how you protect yourself during the actual process.
Yeah.
So just one thing that I sort of latched onto, and you said that developers are calling you because they've gone to the wrong bank. So I'm new. I'm 24, remember. I'm coming onto the platform of development. I'm keen as mustard. I'm ready to go. And then I go into my bank that I bank with, and I said, yeah, okay, give me finance for development. Why can't I do that?
Well, banks want to have experience and they want to have collateral. At 24, it's highly unlikely you're going to have the experience unless you've got a very rich mum and dad or have an inheritance left to you. It's very unlikely you're going to have the collateral to support you in case something goes wrong. But more importantly, the banks aren't going to fund the whole deal. They will typically lend you 80% of all costs. So if you've got a development that costs 3 million, they'll probably lend you 2.4 million, and they'll deduct their interest up front. So you're going to have to come up with probably between 600,000 and 800,000 yourself to fund the deal. So that's why the bank...
I'm thinking big, obviously. I'm 24. I've read the books. The Art of Thinking Big. I've read all these books, Think Big. So I'm doing what everyone's telling me to do. I've been educated. So, I'm going big, man. And they say I can do it, no money down. Come on.
So
I think you're lying to me. Why can't I do that?
I think I have the answer there. I mean, one of the challenges you have in most of those cases when people want to quit their job, as we mentioned before, or when they want to go big quick, or any of these sort of things,
money down.
No money
deal
down.
For free.
A lot of times there is a sales pitch attached to that.
Right.
And it's like, come along to the weekend, and then you realise the weekend wasn't all the secrets. It's selling you to the next thing. And I think you've got to filter out that hype and BS, as I call it.
So let me flip that on its head. And the truth is, when you do have a lot of experience, you do have a lot of knowledge, you do have a lot of expertise, you don't need to have your money because people will give you the money because you've built that knowledge, you've built that expertise, you've built a few developments. Well, quite a few actually. They're all profitable. Yeah. Then people lend you the money. But until you've cut your teeth, you're not going to get the money because you don't have the knowledge, you don't have expertise, you don't have the people around you. So it's unlikely you're going to get the finance yourself. So you're going to have to start small to start with. You're going to have to earn your way up.
Yeah. So my thinking big is still bigger than what I've got because I've done nothing, but it might just be, I don't know, a flip where I force some equity into the property or what?
Yeah, so I would say if you want to understand this industry, you start with something small. Understand the implications of buying something, refinancing it, holding it, refurbishing it, going through that process. And you might only make 15, 20, 25,000 for your first one. But you know what? 25,000 compared to earning nothing, that's quite a huge amount.
On 24, it makes a big difference.
Yep.
And a small flip, a small refurbishment, you take you 6 to 9 months. You do one of two of those a year at 20 to 25,000 a pop. That's 40 to 50 grand in your first one, if you know what you're doing. So you've got to take baby steps before you can take, you've got to walk before you can run, and you can run before you can sprint.
And I suppose if I do go a little bit off the track and think I'm smarter than a developer who's been working for 25 years and I go outside the template and off the rails, it's not going to be such a big loss if I make, if I lose a few thousand here and there. I'm not going to lose a few 100,000.
Well,
I know we don't like to lose money, but I'm trying to be realistic for everyone out there.
Yeah.
So being realistic, if you're an experienced developer, losing 300,000 is the same as somebody inexperienced that doesn't have the money losing 30,000. The effect is the same.
Okay.
So just that you've accumulated more wealth over time. So somebody that it's actually probably more painful because that's their only initial capital. A developer will probably have more funds than that and be able to recover because they have the knowledge, the expertise and the context to be able to recover faster. So I'd probably say it's even worse for somebody starting off.
I think one of the biggest things we see in what I do with the marketing side, the end result to some degree, and a lot of times because we do off-plan, it's not the property's not finished, but it's they're now realising they're going to have to market these things or sell these things, or perhaps they're already in financial troubles, is that a lot of times it's the inexperienced developers who got too big too quickly and perhaps sold their families, their friends, they went along to the networking functions and they found somebody who wasn't experienced as well and didn't know what criteria, and they end up getting the money somehow, but then they get into a situation where, I mean, we look at these things and it's like, we can't sell them. You know, we'll do it, but it'll be 20% below what you're thinking. It's like, but I'm not making any money. It's like, well, you know,
it's either you're going to lose money or not make money. Which one do you want?
You know,
I'm going to put something out there. So some of you guys don't know some of the deals I'm looking at, but there was one very, very well-known developer. I won't say who his name was, but I've just been offered a site that he agreed at 4.2 million. It went to the receiver. It's actually been bought at 2.9 million. So he's actually paid 1.4 million more than he should have done because it only works at 2.9 million. So that's somebody that's grew too fast, too quickly, taking money from lots of people. They didn't know what they were. So
Brady.
Who you do business with is really important. Not the new kid on the block. You want to be doing business with people that really understand what they're doing and have the credentials, have the expertise, and more importantly, have the honesty and integrity.
That's hard to find today, though. With Facebook, with Twitter, with Instagram, you know, most things are false, it seems. Like we always say, only believe 10% of what we say.
Yeah.
But so I'm that young 24-year-old. Where do I go? Because all these seminars, all these ads on Facebook all say, look, you know, you can be a millionaire in bloody 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Come along, see what you can do, all these sources of income that you can do and make property and be a developer within, 6 months. And don't worry, we'll finance your deals for you. All of a sudden you find that the person who's mentoring you owes people millions of quid and it's too late for you.
So this is what I would say. As a developer, I have to carry out a huge amount of due diligence before I can establish whether a development has prospect. The bank will do a huge amount of due diligence on me as well. So if you're going to learn or be an investor, you need to do due diligence on who you're going to be doing business with in the first place. And I would probably say you're going to need 6 months to a year, first and foremost, understanding what development is about before you even put one penny into any area of investment or with a developer. You've got to do that. There's no get-rich-quick scheme in anything that you do in property. You have to do the time to learn and understand. You have to raise your financial IQ. If you don't, you'll get burnt. And there's many, many people getting burnt by so-called gurus saying they're going to give them a return because they haven't done the research, they haven't got the joint ventures agreements in place. They've just believed, even today, don't believe shit what I say. Take 10% of what I say.
Yeah.
90% of what I say may still be true, but you need to check that it is.
Yeah.
And the same with anybody else when it comes to their projects. Do your due diligence. Go and see them. Look at their projects. Ask to speak to the professionals that they deal with. See whether they pay on time. Get to know who you're going to do business with. Correct. Yeah. So you want to do that due diligence.
So due diligence, where do we start?
I think, I was going to say the other thing is one of the things I say to all my investors and the guys that are thinking is I say act as if you're going to buy a particular development, but then don't. And even if you've got to do that 4 or 5 or 6 times and go through the entire, and I mean spend hours and hours researching, even putting some money behind it, act as if you're going to buy that, knowing full well that you're not intending to buy that. And I know that'll screw around with
a bit of a
people.
Test case.
But yes,
that's a good idea.
What you'll
because
find,
they have, like on all your share trading platforms,
yep.
They have the fake ones where you don't use real money to try and practice it.
Listen,
but I think
I
doing
like
that.
You don't marry everybody you date, right? So you got to have a few dates first before you know you got a really good one. Same with developers.
Yeah.
You got to date a few, and it's an analogy. In life we do lots of things that we know that we have to go through a few processes before we find something that's good. The same with development, same with understanding about learning credentials. You have to, not everybody learns the same way. We don't all take information the same way. You've got to find somebody that has the honesty, has the integrity, has the track record, that wants to help you, but you've got to do it slowly. Nothing is going to happen quickly. If you think that, don't even start.
Yeah, this is not get rich quick, by far.
No.
The only people get rich quick is the people selling the courses. However, let's get away from that. Due diligence, where do we start then? So we've found some money, whether it's mum and dad or that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that we suddenly found that doesn't exist. And now we're out, we're looking for deals. And we found a deal. And the deal would be that, hey, yeah, you can probably build anywhere between 4 and 6 houses on here, depending on how good you are.
So you always start with the end in mind. So the end in mind is, what is this project going to be in terms of value? In the industry, it's called GDV, gross development value. So let's take some round numbers to make it easy for people to understand. And I'll make the number small so it makes it round. So let's say something is worth £1 million once you finish all of your work.
So GDV is what you will sell it for and bank before tax.
Before tax. It's actually before tax. So your gross development value is the total cost of the development, or your resale values.
Total sale value, yep.
Yeah,
so
good.
let's say it's £1 million. So in the current marketplace, I would say that you have to work on a minimum of 20%, probably 25% on costs. So from that million, you want to make 2 to 250,000 profits. So in this case, we'll take 25%, which is 250,000. And let's say the cost to build, I'm going to make it nice and round, 250 square feet at £100 a square foot is 250,000
grand,
pounds.
yep.
So that means your build cost is 250, your profit is 250, now £500,000. However, in addition to your build cost, you've got other costs that you have to take into account. You've got stamp duty, you've got legal fees. You'll have legal fees when you purchase, you'll have legal fees when you exit, you'll have agents' fees, you'll have marketing fees. All of those fees, and you'll have finance fees.
Cost of money, yeah.
All of that costs money, and professional fees, and you'll also have things like NHBC warranty, you'll have services to go in. All of that might account to another 150,000. So let's say in this case 100,000.
And contingency on your build.
And contingency on your build of a 10%.
Yep.
So let's say all of that comes to another 100,000, make it nice and simple. So you've got 250,000 profit, 250,000 in build, another £100,000 worth of associated costs. That takes you to 600,000. That means that the maximum price you can pay for that particular project is 400,000. So that's a rough equation of how you would work out, but you have to go through all the steps. Now, if there's planning permission, if you've got plans to pay, architects, surveyors, all of that might add up to another 40, 50,000. You can see how quickly all of that erodes your total costs. And that's when most people fall over. It's all the other costs. So they might get the bill cost, but they'll forget things like stamp duty. They might forget things like an arrangement fee from the lender or a estate agent's fee. All of these different costs, and they typically add about 15 to 20% of your total bill cost. So that's quite large.
That's interesting, because most agents, when you go out there, and if you're a young 24-year-old knocking on doors, they would try to sell you a deal, a block of land that's 300 grand, and they say the GDV is 900,000, your build's 300. So you'll make profit of 300, right?
Yep.
They normally work on the third, right?
Third, exactly.
But is that realistic?
It is in some markets, but I would say...
Some markets? Tell me where.
Well,
I want that market.
Well, no, I think that is possible.
Yeah.
But whether you really want to be doing deals at that...
Yeah.
I mean, because that third, that's been, people throw that around all the time.
Yeah.
But I think practically that doesn't account for if the market comes off, if coronavirus hits hard, if all these sort of things. Actually, if you want to be safe and secure, you probably want to try and go out there and find 10 deals and then pick the ones that actually have a bit more meat on the bone. So don't get emotional. Oh, I love it. It's all about the numbers. You can't get emotional because you've got so many other things to worry about,
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem is generally those deals that they say there's huge margin in, when you do the due diligence, you find that the GDV is well and truly overpriced. And you got to look at what it really is. And so that's where, for me, you've got to take it slow. You got to slow everything down and not get emotional about it and go and find out what the real value is and what's really going to sell for. And, it's interesting. With the whole due diligence, I work in a very structured manner. So I start with the big picture. And even before I look at deals.
Big picture, is that the same as the end that Immanuel would look at?
So I agree. I 100% agree with that. You'd have to do that. But even before that, what I look at is I look for the area. So I want to know what the area is.
The fundamentals of the area.
Yeah. So I want to look
whether
at
it's redevelopment or whatever.
Shops, schools, transport links, major employees, major investment. And I want to find...
Say that again.
Can you repeat that? Yeah, slowly.
I know Aussies can understand it, but for the English...
I know.
Shops, schools, transport links, major employees, major investment in an area, because that is what fundamentals are. Okay, but if you want to know what the most important things are, it's the other way around. So it's major investment has the biggest impact on fundamentals, transport links, and so basically those 5 things are what you want to assess for an area before you even look into an area, because otherwise you end up what's called deal hunting, and you might find a great deal in an area, but if it's a crappy area and you're getting a good deal, the risk is if the market tanks, you can't sell that or you'll struggle to sell that. Whereas if you're in a really good area with great fundamentals, then all of a sudden now, if the market tanks, it's likely to bounce back a lot quicker. It's not likely to fall as much. So you're building these...
And recover faster.
Recover faster, that's right, yeah. So you end up with a V rather than a big, longer U.
I like to think of, on top of that you can sell something between 6 and 12 weeks. If it's quicker than 6, the market's too hot. So the deal's pretty slim chance you're going to get a deal. If it's longer than 12 weeks, you're in the wrong area. There's not enough buyers out there.
There is a couple of things I want to add to what Brett actually said and to what with agents. So 2 things. Agents are there to sell because that's how they make their money.
No matter what.
However, they'll always give you this little caveat at the bottom of their email. Please rely on your own due diligence. Yeah. They know that what they're told you is a pile of crock, first and foremost. So,
no offence to agents out there, that's how you're trained.
Correct. And the second part is, and I get this with almost every single agent that sends me property to look at or potential opportunity, and when I do my appraisal and I check the numbers and I go back and I go through the numbers, they will say to me, your numbers are correct, but other people will pay more than you because they don't do the same due diligence as you.
Say that again. That is key.
Yeah, it really is key.
That is key. That's a very key point.
Almost every time when I actually do the full appraisal to check the numbers, invariably the numbers just don't work. And they will say that I do my due diligence correctly and my numbers are correct. However, there are other people that will work on less margins and don't do it as diligently as myself. So,
which leads back to when I said at the start, most developers don't make any money. Most so-called developers don't make money.
Okay. It's even worse than that. It really is much worse than that. So most developers, more than 70% of developers, will actually go bust within 5 to 7 years of all new developers. That's fact.
Did you know that?
Yeah, and I'd agree with that.
Wow.
The number of people we see because we work with bigger developers, we work with smaller developers, but we also work with banks that have developments and need to get rid of them.
So is this where they've repossessed it or something like that?
In fact, a lot of times they'll bring us in before they repossess, and they'll introduce us to the developer before that happens when they're in trouble.
But it's due to debt.
But it's
unpaid debt.
Yeah. They're outside their covenants. Yeah. So they'll either get us in there or after they've repossessed it. A lot of times, the challenge we have with after they repossess it is that the developer, because they're running short on money and trying to think, the quality tends to drop through so it's not something we want to really touch because our investors end up with the am I allowed to say arse end?
Yeah.
Well, you just did say arse end. Shall we all say arse end?
We absolutely 100%.
Okay, so I'm a 24-year-old still, and I'm thinking, wow, right. You've answered some questions here. Now, I've been told, going back to, I can get into this no money down or no money left in deals. How does this work? Seriously. Because I've been pumped this on 6 courses and I've been shouting hallelujah. I've been running to the back and I've spent the 30 grand.
So let's be real. People can still do development. We don't have the knowledge. They don't have the experience. They don't have the money. They can find it. The likelihood of them being profitable is another thing altogether because there will always be somebody.
Hold on a minute there. So, I can find these no money down deals, no money left in deals, And that's great. It's exciting. I go and tell my mentor, hey, dude, I've got 3 of these in the pipeline. However, I'm not sure if I'm going to make any money.
Well, you won't know if you're going to make any money because you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know what you're doing as a developer, you will not make money. Out of all the property strategies out there, and I've done almost all of them, it is the hardest discipline by far because there's so many moving parts continuously. Yeah. And if you do not know your numbers, and one of the numbers that most developers don't do, they don't build inflation into their build cost.
Explain that.
So if you're building a project over 12 or 18 months, we take our current situation with Brexit and coronavirus. There's always going to be something along those lines. They don't build in inflation. So if you're building right now and if you're getting a development that's going through planning and it's going to be 3, 6 months, 9 months before you get on site, the build costs are going to increase. They're just going to increase. And if you don't build
CPI and things always getting more
and if you
expensive,
don't build that into your appraisal might work today if you were building it today.
So that's interesting. So you've got to build those price rises in as
You've
well.
got to build inflation into your budgets. Now, people like Barrett's, we were talking earlier, they stockpiled 4 years in advance of bricks. So they don't want to be in a situation they don't actually have the right materials at the right cost when they're building. So big builders buy stuff in advance. A small developer just doesn't have that buying power.
And interestingly with that is what they did, and it wasn't just them, it was all the big major house builders. They pretty much took out all of the stock for the UK. So if you're a small developer sitting there and you've designed with an architect a beautiful brick wall, and then all of a sudden you go to make it, well, you can't get it. So you can't get bricks, and you can't get bricks for 12, 18 months. So now you've got to go back to the drawing board. 3 months later, you've got to get the planning involved and everything like that. So all of a sudden now, you haven't accounted for that because you just assumed that bricks would be there. Everybody can find bricks, surely. Well, actually, there was a stage where they couldn't.
Listen, it's not all doom and gloom.
No.
Developing is a great business to be in, but you've got to go through the processes.
You've got to know where to start.
In terms of my experience, I've gone through a lot of crap. Good experience comes from bad experience. Good judgment comes from bad experience. Yeah. Bad judgment. That happens over time. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I've got a lot of knowledge over that period. I know how to create a development project, all the processes in place. I wouldn't do a development on my own. I wouldn't develop under Broadwing without the partners I have. They bring different knowledge and expertise. One of my partners is Ben Keenan. He's head of multiplex, worldwide legal. He has that knowledge about construction, about, putting the contracts in place. You've got to have the right team around you.
And with that, after speaking to Ben, he's still learning every day. And yet he is an expert, above experts in many cases, and he is still learning.
This is the truth. Yeah. You never, ever stop learning. In our business, things are changing all the time. Rules, regulations, planning laws, finance, things are changing all the time. You never stop learning. When you left school, that's when your learning started.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other points too is that, we're talking about property development, but, property development, there's so many different ways to do property development. There's so many different types of property development. We were talking the other day, we were driving the car, and I was just talking about how, if you look at someone like Berkeley Homes, a lot of their major regeneration sites, they're not building just a building. So you can say, well, I'm a developer, I build buildings. But you go onto their sites, they're building a community now. So you go to Royal Arsenal Riverside, that whole place, I remember that was a car park, and I remember doing a site inspection when it was literally a flattened car park, and now you go there and it is amazing what they've done.
Yeah, they start with schools, they start with libraries, they start with infrastructure, then they start building the actual property around it to accommodate the infrastructure. So it's a whole different...
And so the thing is, if you're, you could work for Berkeley Homes and be an expert at large-scale community-type developments like that, but actually that doesn't mean you know how to do the individual property and vice versa. And that's, we were talking about is we wouldn't know how to put together that sort of development because it's not our skill set.
And it's going to take you years to learn. Yeah. And a lot of expertise you're going to have to bring in.
100%. So I think that's one of the other points too is, you're a 24-year-old developer. Don't ever think that you're going to do this by yourself. You have to get a team behind you.
And that, again, is a very important...
Developer. It's a 30-year-old developer, 35, 40.
Yeah.
At any point you're starting at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I learned this a long time ago, and somebody said to me, whatever you do, you'll end up paying for the education. You either pay for it in advance by learning the skills and the knowledge, or you're going to pay for it at the end by the costly mistakes. Either way, you're going to pay for that education. So it's important that you invest to get the knowledge. And, you know, in fact, I heard a podcast this morning that I was listening to from a chartered surveyor. And they were talking about how to get started in development. And she said, what I would do, her recommendation was that if she was going to get into development or advise somebody, is to just mirror somebody on their site, not on anything, do 1 or 2 sites, learn everything about it so you have the knowledge and the skill and understand all the moving parts of a development site. And a lot of people need to do that. They need to just do what I call an apprenticeship. I started my life as an apprentice. An apprentice, I was on a building site as a heating engineer, just following the heating engineers around me to understand the process that they did. And that's how you understand about development.
If you think about it, in any job you do, no matter what you do, whether you go and get a job as a 16-year-old at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever it is, they always put you with someone to train you, don't they?
Yeah.
You always have to copy someone else. Put the mayonnaise here, the potato, what do you call it? The tomatoes here and that, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? But they follow a process. So, or a vegan one, you know, just tomatoes or whatever. But it's a process. So what you're saying right from the start, from the outset, is find someone who's doing it well, follow their template or get the template of what they do, and then just recreate it.
Yep.
Correct.
As long as they are proven.
And I think the other point too is if you think you're going to read, you know, the various multitude of books on there that all say how to be a property developer and all that, and then go and do your first thing and know what you're talking about or know what you're doing, or even go along to a weekend seminar that says in 2 days I'll teach you how to be a property developer, you know, it's just unrealistic.
I love that, what you just said, and I'd like to give you my interpretation. So you can read a book about swimming. You jump in the water first time, you're going to drown. And you know, you've got to be in the water. You've got to understand what being in the water is all look like. You can read everything to do with swimming, all the different strokes, what you need to do. But until you're in the water, it's a whole different kettle of
experience.
fish. Experience.
And that really is, like you talk about getting a team, if you've got the money to put somebody on to do it with you. But actually, if you're starting out and you're 24 years old, you probably don't have the capital. Go along to someone who's successful and say, hey, I want to work for nothing. I want to be on site. I'll be on site every Saturday, you know, for 6 hours. I'll do whatever you want.
You boys are going to get loads of phone calls now.
But you know why that is a great thing?
It is
because they get to see all the different trades.
100%.
All the moving parts from the ground upwards. So from groundwork all the way through to the end, and they get to see how all the different trades blend with each other, when they need to come in, about the program of works, when things need to be done, and they'll get that knowledge and experience. That is invaluable.
Meet planning consultants, meet guys doing building regs inspections and all that sort of stuff.
And I think that's, you know, you talk about there are so many elements that you need to know about development. And like you're right, blending trades so that your timeline doesn't blow out is essential, because otherwise you can blow out and then your cost of funds goes up, and you know, there's so many elements that you need to bring together in this game, you know.
So, okay, I've listened to your advice. I'm moving forward. I'm looking for these properties. I'm in the right areas. I've looked at the redevelopment. I've looked at schools. I've looked at shops and all that sort of stuff, and all tick the box. And I'm ready to go because someone said to me, ready, fire, aim, which chucks out everything else that you've just said. Ready, fire, aim, Ash. Don't worry, mate. It'll work itself out. You've got to take action first. Otherwise, nothing will ever happen.
And I agree with that philosophy. Ready, aim, fire is a philosophy. It's a great philosophy.
Where does it come from?
It comes from T. Harv Eker.
Okay.
He created that. And it's about, in life, haven't got to get everything perfect to get going. However, you've got to get going to get perfect. So ready, aim, fire means ready, you're ready, aim, you find the right developer, you learn from that developer, and as you start learning, you start adjusting until you got the information, and then you fire. Because until you have...
Well, hang on a minute. They said ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
So I've fired.
Well, you are firing with the developer. You're finding out the knowledge, the information first, and then you adjust, and then you can go for...
So that doesn't mean go and get a deal and see what happens.
No, it means be in the game.
Yeah.
Good.
It means be in the game.
Fire doesn't mean go and buy it and get started without doing any research and anything. I mean, that's the 100% guaranteed way of losing money, because you know what's going to happen, and we see it all the time. But
that's how it's taught.
Most people, when I first started in property, my mentor at the time, very good mentor, basically said, right, what you need to do is go around every single estate agent and get to know all the estate agents in the area and start to refine your deal. And at that stage, I was young. I didn't have any money, to start.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some money, but not enough to do real.
But you had lots of
deals.
time.
But I had the time. So I went round every Friday afternoon. From lunchtime on, I went and drank, and I went and become the best mates of all of Aussie on the Gold Coast. And basically, I got to know every agent in the area I possibly could, and I listened to all their bullcrap stories. And you know what they started giving me? All of their crap.
Yeah, yeah.
All their crap. The
Give us your
deals they
email. I'll
couldn't
send
get
you all
done,
my shit.
and that's what started. But what happened after a time, and it took 3 months of getting crap.
Yeah.
And then what happened, and this is the worst thing, in one day I got 3 deals and all of them were awesome deals because finally I'd broken through and they're like, and that deal come across the desk and they said, oh, Brett's here on Friday, have a look at this deal.
Brilliant.
But 3 months is a drop in the ocean,
I know,
right?
It is. 3 months is nothing.
Just going back to Ashley's famous saying, Goya, you
Get
got off your arse.
Get off your ass.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
did. You got off your arse
Totally.
for 3 months continuously, and then something
Do you
happened.
know the other side? In that 3 months, what I did when I first started speaking to estate agents, I was saying, I'm looking for the best deals. I want to make heaps of there was no sales pitch. It was like, I'm just desperate to do something.
Yeah.
But then over time, and I got rejected.
That's how I started out.
And then people started going,
Still do.
well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do high-rise houses?
Brett's
Do you,
talking.
do you want to do high-rise houses? Do you want to do what? And I went, no, this is what I want. So in the end, I worked out I couldn't afford to do beachside, Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So it was from the Gold Coast Highway back, and it was a 400 square metre plot of land, which was a standardised plot of land. So I actually refined it down. And when I refined it down, then when I started going out, I'm saying, this is the criteria I'm looking for.
100%.
And so all of a sudden they were going, shit. And then when I was sitting there and one of their vendors walks in and goes, I've got this, they're like, I could give this to Brett.
But
He
Brett,
won't go away.
That is exactly ready, fire, aim.
He's firing, and the aim.
Oh, yeah.
What would the aim be? The due diligence once you get a deal.
So he
Oh, yeah.
Is that the aim?
Yeah.
he's getting
Well,
the go. What he's doing, he's refining his pitch. So he got to the ultimate pitch, but he aimed, he fired by going to the different agents on a consistent basis. And
I
he
got out
kept
there before I knew
adjusting
what. Yeah.
until
Yeah.
he got the perfect property that he knew he could actually meet, and that's what he did by refining it. But that took a minimum of 3 months continuously, and then 3 deals drop. But he had to do that.
And do you know what?
consistently.
And this was the other ready, fire, aim. The straight away was I got 3 deals in one day. And you know what I did? I took all 3. I had no idea how I was going to fund them. No idea. But the great thing was they were bloody good deals. So I was able to go to 2 of the guys, my mentors effectively, and one of them was like, this is how you structure this. And I was able to structure it with no money down. I mean, this is we're going back quite a few years now.
The good old days.
Good old days, yeah. And to be fair, another one I had enough money to do because I'd been disciplined, savings and all that sort of stuff. And the third one, it was basically a mate of a mate who did it, and he funded it. And in the end, I didn't even need the funding because I ended up negotiating with a vendor that I was able to go in, renovate it, and basically put on the market and flip it before it even completed. So, and I took my profit.
But that's consistency. Yeah. That's pushing.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's say I'm that 24-year-old again. I'm not so
grown up yet.
I'm not so fortunate. I'm not so fortunate as Brett. I don't have any friends, and I don't know anyone yet. I haven't been doing the networking. The networking I have done, people are just trying to flog me stuff and flog me pipeline deals, and all of a sudden I've got a deal, and I'm like, just like Brett said, how am I going to fund it?
I'll go back to what I said. If you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the experience, you might find the money, but people be reticent to give you the money. Because you don't. People give you money if they know you're going to look after it. You have the knowledge. So money becomes freely available when you can give somebody confidence that you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, very few people are going to lend you the money. And more importantly, you should not even be asking for the money from anyone if you don't have the knowledge. That's just
rude.
Not just rude, it's got the wrong integrity. If you don't know what you're doing, you should not be asking money from somebody else. You just shouldn't.
So can I joint venture with someone then? Because I found this deal, it's amazing. And I'm talking, it's not a third. I'm making the 25%.
Okay. The answer is you can joint venture with somebody. So, again, it depends on their knowledge and expertise. But if somebody has all the knowledge and all the expertise, you can find them a deal. That's a sourcer. You're sourcing something. If you want to find and learn, you're better off to take a sourcing fee and get the value of them teaching you how to do it yourself rather than trying to take the profit. And that's part of the podcast I was listening to today, talking about Get the knowledge, get the information, because that knowledge and information is more valuable than the small amount of profit you're going to make on the deal.
Yeah, because for me, I don't want to just, if I'm that 24-year-old again, I don't want to be a sourcer. I don't want to find stuff and then give all the money away to someone else. At first, for the first 2, 3, 4, maybe I'm going to have to do that, but I can be seen as part of the deal, and maybe that will go against my neighbour's experience. But I want to be hands-on. For my cut in the deal, even if it's a small percentage, I want to work with you and I want to go on site. I want to see what's going on. I want to meet these people, as we said. And that's part of the joint venture deal that I, as a young 24-year-old, would want to put up. Say, hey, look, I found you this deal. Can I get involved in the deal? I won't get in your way. I just want to learn.
So that is you participating in the deal. The joint venture, the amount of information you learn is probably worth £25,000 to £50,000 in knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
So
if not more,
that it's worth it in itself. So after 2 or 3 deals, you have the knowledge, you have the information, you have the experience. So when you can talk about it, you're talking from a place of knowledge. So people will want to start investing with you or through you.
No, I think that one of the problems is that a lot of people are going along to these networking things, they're going along to these seminars, they're going along to this, and they're being told stories of how I made $100,000 in 7 days, or and all this sort of rubbish and garbage. And look, I'm not saying they're lying, but can most people do that? No, most people wouldn't do that. And in fact, I think it's for the most part BS, because I'm sure if you question them and actually looked at the data behind a lot of those statements. Yeah, they're folklore passed down from.
We're all sort of wink, nudging, looking at each other, saying, "Yeah, mate."
But I think actually, if you can go, if you find that deal, if you go along to a mentor or and along the process of finding those deals, you're going to find the mentors, and that's what I did. I had one guy, and actually, one of my mentors was industrial property, and one of my mentors was residential property. And so I never got into the industrial side very much, but I learned a hell of a lot because I threw myself into that too, because that was a potential. But if you go along and almost with no expectations of making money from that, and I think that's the problem, is the 24-year-old is trying to go in and make as much money as possible, and I bought this deal, and therefore I've always said that, how you get paid is either through the work you do, through the intellectual property you bring, or through the money capital you put in. And whatever the proportion is, you negotiate. It's out of those 3. And I think, for the most part, I'm happy to go along. And if I'm learning a new thing, I'm more than happy to go along and earn 0 if I get, the knowledge. And that knowledge, for me, that intellectual capital is worth so much more than...
So my first trip, I got paid £1,500, £2,000 for it, but to me it was education.
Yep.
I didn't make that mistake again.
No.
But that didn't... I probably lost money because I don't include the time that I spent on site.
Yeah.
Which is I probably did lose about $5,000 or so, easily, with the time I put in.
But how much you made since then?
Well, a couple of quid here and there, yeah.
Paid for your education.
Yeah, way more. And, I've met Immanuel through it, met you through it, and even today I'm learning stuff, getting educated. I've been educated by Immanuel for the last 5 years, a lot of it's subliminal. So
Likewise.
Thanks, mate. Okay, so... I think we've probably covered a lot on development today. Yep. We could probably sit here and talk for the whole week, but we're probably going to have to get some substances in to keep us awake. Red Bull, that is. And there was just one question that we had. What is a no money down deal? Brett?
No money down deal. It's
no money in.
It's one of those things in the similar vein as a unicorn.
Oh, no. Right. Big knob on its head.
No, you know what? If you're talking about... No, I mean, I think from my perspective, you're talking about a no money down deal in the way it's sold through most seminars and that doesn't exist. If you're talking about a no money down for someone who's experienced and someone who knows what they're doing and has the relationships and a proven track record and all that sort of stuff, then absolutely it does, 100%.
Yeah, good. Okay, that makes sense. Good. So not really for beginners. Right, boys, it's been a pleasure. Yep. Everyone, big thank you to Brett for popping in.
No, my pleasure. It's been enjoyable.
When are you going back to Singapore? You live in Singapore still at the moment?
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Singapore,
you're back?
Yeah, Singapore, yeah.
Good.
Well, if they let me back,
Well, yeah, nice bit of self-quarantine.
Quarantine, yeah.
Get yourself a few Coronas. And sorry, I had to put that in. We've got loads of podcasts. This is number 6 now, isn't it? So Straight Talking Property Podcast, just Google it, you'll find us. Yeah. Or go on to Sprecher, or send us some questions, ask us at straighttalkingproperty.com.
Don't forget Brett's Property Rants.
Yeah, Brett's Property Rants on both Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook, all the channels pretty much. Twitter, I do all
YouTube, so you can see your
YouTube,
noggin.
definitely, yeah.
Vimeo.
I have 1 or 2 videos coming out about raising your financial IQ.
Are you sure that's their videos? The videos are about that?
They're all about raising your financial IQ.
All right, good. Okay, that sounds good. And that really is, proper education stuff there, raising your finance IQ, because it is something that people probably should do before they even think about getting into development. And even for their personal finances. Good. Okay. Right, let's end it there. Thanks, boys.
Cheers.
Have a good week. Until next one, everyone. See you then. Bye.
See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.